My stomach kind of hurts.
You need to go potty?
I'm okay.
All right, here we go.
I hope that was on there.
He didn't hit R yet.
Didn't pound the R.
Here we go. Hit an S.
You're listening to Thunderheads, a podcast for Thunder fans by Thunder fans.
Welcome to Thunderheads. I am Brandon Soul, joined by the Thunder Tie himself. It is Mr. Justin Wright.
I want to thank you for being a part of my Forget-Me-Nots and Marigolds.
Oh, Motion City soundtrack. I got one!
You guys.
Oh,
But I know. 'cause
Collusion!
He said it last week,
Collusion.
though. He was like, I got to throw some of them in. I think it was off the pod, though, that we talked about this, right?
It was
Yeah.
off the pod collusion.
Hey, I appreciate the softball, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, we have the leader of the mob. It is Sir Jacob Niffen.
Hello, hello.
Doctor's in the house. Rob Larson.
I'm here.
All right.
All right.
It's like you said, all right to yourself. All right.
Oh, move along.
The Dark and Stormy Jason Lewis.
Yes, sir.
Today, we're going to discuss if it was a successful week for the Thunder, Alex Abrinas' breakout, Westbrook struggles. We're going to play a game of the classic, legitimate, or preposterous. But first, I got a story for you guys. It's the disaster of the week.
Story time.
This might be like the greatest literal disaster we've ever had on
Oh,
Disaster of the Week.
a lot of expectations being set.
Well, pull them back. Come on.
Well,
I can't deal with that.
You're the one who said
That's
them.
it.
You just did it.
As common as extreme blowouts are in high school basketball, a true shutout is extremely rare. The state of Montana had its first one on any level of recorded organized basketball last weekend. And man, it was a bummer. Freud Medicine Lake High 102, Brockton High 0.
Oh, shit.
The Great Falls Tribune has a thoroughly depressing game story describing how the Brockton girls saw all their best players scratched for illness or other reasons before tip-off, leaving them with a grand total of 5. Yes, just 5 players. None of them whom was an upperclassman and none of whom was over 5'7". Meanwhile,
Oh, no.
the opposing Freud Medicine Lake had a full roster that included 3 girls over 6 foot. By the end of the first quarter, they stopped recording stats other than the score, and by halftime, Brockton was down 59-0.
That's not fair to those girls to stop recording those badass stats.
I know. Like, it's a good chance to, like, pump your stats
Yeah,
up.
get into college.
On a positive note, they only gave up 53 in the second half.
Yeah, it's true. But wait,
Good defense.
things only got worse from
40
there.
43.
Things only got worse from there, as one of their starting 5 left with a knee injury.
Oh,
And, of
Jesus.
course, no available substitute early in the second half when they switched to a running clock. So no longer were they stopping the clock. They were like, we got to get this over with.
Get out of here.
Which is more embarrassing, though, if you are that losing team, for them to do that for you. It's like let's just get this over with. Is that more embarrassing,
worse.
or is it to just drag it on and continue?
Do you pull up with an injury? Like the whole team pulls their hammies.
Yeah, they're just like, we're
They're
out.
like-
I
yeah,
can't.
warming up after half. It's like, we can't.
You know what they
play.
should have done? Should have brought an Airbud.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's the solution to that problem.
Late signee. I don't. You think?
Really? That's where you're
I think
going?
Airbud's a
Wait,
boy. He wouldn't
Airbud's a boy,
qualify.
yeah.
Oh.
That's a fair point. I mean, you think that
Shit.
like it would be very important to them. Just get one basket. Just
No,
one.
I would say fuck it. Just at halftime, if I was the coach, I'd have been like, dude, we're pulling the plug. Like, we're not
Yeah.
even gonna have
Just-
girls basketball
just
here
quit it.
anymore. We're just shutting down the program.
Does it
I'm
say
getting
where
that
they
basket.
were they pressing them the whole like? Were they pressing them? How do you not score?
It doesn't say. I haven't
A
gone to the
single
game story. The Freud Medicine Lake coach said he felt bad and wasn't sure if he could have stopped the game himself. It seems like someone should have been able to do something when one team was down to 4 players and losing by 60-plus points in the second half. But Brock-
Yeah, they're down to 4 players, and you still put another 40 on them.
Yeah.
Like, holy
You are
shit!
Keep
one
feeding the
pathetic
post.
Loser.
But Brockton coach Terrence Johnson and his girls seem to have the right perspective. My girls did everything possible to score, and we were trying to find a way to get a crooked number up there. They did nothing wrong. At the end of the day, they all went home and asked, "What's for dinner, Mom?"
What the?
That's a weird quote.
That is
Who
weird.
does that
Also,
when
in
they
high
get
school
home?
basketball, there is not a shot clock, so they could have just sat there and held the ball
Yeah.
for literally the whole second half and just not done
that's
anything.
the move.
So is that a family team? How did he know that they all asked
Yeah.
their
a good
mother for
question.
dinner?
Are they all his daughters?
Do they all have the
Probably.
same mom? Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it could be different moms.
So many questions.
What do you think the shots they were taking were? The team that got 0. Not
Do
the
you know how
I'd
many
be interested
shots
to
they
know
took?
how many field goal attempts they had.
That's
they
a good
probably turned
question.
it over and got it blocked all the time.
Yeah, you think you just start pulling up from 30 though?
Yeah, no, you go up, you pull the Russ. You just dribble up and you take your shot.
Yeah.
Right.
Half court shot.
One of them's got to go in.
Yeah.
It said all their players are below what 5'6", 5'7", whatever.
probably
It
hard
said.
to get that shot off.
Jumpers.
They're shooters.
Yeah.
You're not on the team if you can't shoot and you're under 5'7".
Have you ever seen girls high school basketball?
I have.
Not on purpose. All right. Well, it was a good week for the Thunder. I don't know. We're gonna
Was
get
it?
into it. 2-1 record. They looked ugly. The wins looked ugly. The loss looked ugly. We're gonna get all into it. But first, let's get all caught up with Rob's Rundown.
All right, so the first game we have was Utah at OKC, which the Thunder struggled offensively in the first half. They only managed 39 points. And not to be outdone, to just show how bipolar they actually are, they scored 61 points in the second half. They really took over in the fourth quarter. They outscored the Jazz by 18, so played great defense. Offense finally got going. Thunder win 100-94. Maybe the most telling stat, which against Utah, I don't know how much you would expect this, but 58-40 with points in the paint. I mean, that's a really good stat for the Thunder.
Yeah, a lot of that happened in the second half, like you said. When they make that big run, it feels like they made a bigger effort to try to get easy buckets,
Especially to get Steven Adams the ball.
Yeah, which has been an important factor for a while now, right? I mean, he's been playing his ass off.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. He's his ass off. The next game, OKC at Brooklyn, which happened in Mexico City, and hopefully this will go down as the last game where Singler gets meaningful minutes.
Hey, he was balling.
I think the game was kind of how Singler's life has gone.
Yeah.
Like, it started out really good, so whenever he was younger and into college, like, he was a pretty good player. And then it was like you could just see, like, it tailed off, and it was like, oh, no. And then there was a point where we were all like, okay, time to bench him. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to see this
It
anymore.
was almost
Yeah.
as soon as Russ knocked his top knot off, he just went to shit.
See, I'm interested in what's more offensive to our Hispanic neighbors. The fact that Trump wants to build a wall, or the fact that Kyle Singler went down there and actually was dropping bombs.
So no PG, no Grant, and not a good result for the Thunder. They started out strong with 33 first quarter points, and it just continued to go downhill from there. Here are the points by quarter: 33, 25, 21, and then 16 fourth quarter points. Not really much else to say about this game. Thunder lose 95-100.
To the Nets.
Russ and Carmelo combined 15 for 47. This is a very familiar number, and we're about to find out why.
Oh.
We talked about Kyle Singler. 23 minutes in that game. Played pretty well for first 15 minutes, where he was like, he's actually a plus right now. And I think you referred to something a second ago, Jacob. There was a time, or maybe it was you, Rob. There was a time you were like, okay, I think he's,
Yeah, we've got it.
Yeah, he's reached his peak.
Yeah,
It's-
we've reached the limit of Kyle Singler
Yeah.
productiveness.
I mean, it's like you can't not play a guy for an entire year and then all of a sudden play him for 23 minutes and expect him to
Well,
just
and
play
you look
well.
at the altitude that he was going through. He's not obvious. I'm sure he's in decent shape, but it's just completely
got
He
a
different.
seems
man
like
bun.
he hikes a lot.
Yeah, maybe.
Seems like a hiker.
I mean, but still, he's just not to go from nothing and then to have to play 23 minutes in that altitude. It's kind of crazy whenever
Also,
you have
when
Josh
you're-
Eustace just sitting there. on the
That
bench.
was my thing.
When you're also really not a good player.
Does
Like
does that say to you though that they think of Eustace more as a 4 and maybe they think of Singler more as a wing player?
I think so.
But regardless, though, I still
Yeah.
don't get it.
I mean, that's a good point. Like, but I to your point, you kind of look at Melo and Eustace like, they're similar body type, and they're trying to make sure that Melo is that role. So to plug him in at the 4,
But no,
there's
That was kind of
Jeremy
derogatory
Grant,
to
though.
That's a good
Eustace.
point.
no Jeremy Grant to come in off of the bench as
Right.
well.
Right.
Which, if Eustace isn't going to start, which is fine, but you would still. It's just I don't know. It's still weird that he didn't get into the game at all.
Rob, also to your point, you brought up that weird stat about turnovers. 12 turnovers against the Nets, and they lose.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's that
It happened
They have
again.
to turn the ball over more. Damn it.
Yeah. So last game, OKC at Memphis. Thunder started really slow, trailing 34-19 after the first quarter. They actually trailed by 20 at one point in the first half. The Thunder bucked the terrible third quarter trend, where they held the Grizzlies to just 9 points in that quarter. That was a weird, just a weird quarter to watch. The Thunder kind of. Even throughout the third quarter, they're still down until that last little push with just a few minutes left in that third quarter, which was really nice to see. Russ was out there. So that was good to see. It got even more weird in the last couple minutes of regulation. Something we'll have to talk about a little bit later is the possessions that the Thunder had, especially in that last minute, where you had the Carmelo 3, you had the Russ deep 3. We'll get into that a little bit. And this game goes to overtime, where some late Russ free throws and then a nice defensive stop by Carmelo.
Very nice.
Thunder win 102-101 and get a much-needed road win. 4 guys scored in 20 plus points. Russ, Adams, Melo, and Abrinas, which is Abrinas got going.
Yeah, first road win since Halloween. Not a single road win in the entire month of November, and it took until the 9th of December to get one since Halloween.
Yep.
Come back from 20 points down, second largest deficit to come back and win in Thunder history.
Yep.
Which is crazy because you watch this game again. What I say in the Nets game, Carmelo and Russ 15 for 47 in this game, a combined 14 for 49. This is the thing.
Russ
the
shot
team
24%.
Yeah, the team shot 39% on the game.
Yeah, and it was weird. Like, this game was strange. Memphis isn't very good. This was a battle of two teams that have a lot of issues right now, right? Memphis is having more issues, which is crazy.
Well, it's two teams that should be going different directions, but they seem to be going sort of the same way.
Which is really bad for us.
Isn't that weird, though? Because, I mean, we can talk about this week as a whole. The Thunder go 2-1 and don't look very good doing it, right?
Yeah.
They went 2-1 last week, didn't look particularly good doing it. 4-2 in the past 2 weeks.
They probably should have went 1-2. They probably should have lost that game. Last night against the Grizzlies.
Sure.
And then they lose to the Nets. I mean, they probably should have ended up 1-2. And so that's sort of, I think, where I have a little bit of optimism is that, like you said, 2-1. They didn't look great last week as well, but they're still 2-1.
Yeah.
So
is the results what matters most, or is it? Do we still need
process.
or do we need to get deeper in this and say, I don't think anything's really changed.
Yeah. To me, the win against the Grizzlies was less about what the Thunder did and more about how Memphis just literally shit down their legs.
Yeah.
I mean, Memphis just looked fucking awful for long stretches of that game, which is pretty impressive because the Thunder looked completely awful the entire first half of that game. And so, to me, nothing that the Thunder did against Memphis gave me any encouragement that, oh, hey, they are out there to win this game. It was just like, who could fuck up the least? And the Thunder just managed to not fuck up like a couple times less than Memphis did.
To me, it kind of seems like a thing. This is the trend evening out, right? So the Thunder had all these losses, close losses early in the season, and now those are starting to go their way a little bit. And it's law of
almost
averages.
like the luck factor. Like these couple
It's just
things
evening
bounce
out.
this way. Like, I mean, even with Russ's free throws last night, those barely went in.
Yeah.
Like, they were so close to not going in that it was very frightening.
And free throws continue to be a problem with this team. I mean,
Huge.
problems persist with this team. Like
Luckily, and back to what I just said, luckily the Grizzlies down the end of the fourth quarter in overtime shoot 2 of 6 from the free throw line. If they make free throws, the game's over and the Thunder lose.
Right.
But somehow Marc Gasol misses one. They miss, I think, 2 late in the overtime. It was just, the Thunder just didn't fuck up just enough to win the game.
It was weird because the whole game, I had this strange feeling that the Thunder were going to win that game. The whole time they were down big, and it was like, I feel like they're going to win this game for whatever reason. I think you could tell they just have more talent than the Grizzlies do right now. Gasol made some really tough shots. Yeah, he did. I thought
we were playing great defense on so many possessions, and he would just get something to go, which is kind of his thing.
Yeah, he was 8 for 17, so Adams did a pretty good job. He had 22 points. It took him 17 shots to do that, where Adams had 11 shots and scored 21.
Right.
12 free throws for Adams, made only 7 of them. We'd like to see that number go up. Another good game for Adams. Abrinas' breakout game, though.
Oh, my God.
43 minutes, starts his second consecutive game missing Paul George and Jeremy Grant, who would probably... No, Jeremy Grant was in the game.
Yeah, he was. He did play.
So, and, he
Terribly.
didn't start. Yeah, he didn't play much. 12 minutes for Jeremy Grant.
0 for 3.
But let's talk about Abrinas. 7 for 10 from the field. His official breakout game, 6 for 8 from beyond the line. They find him a lot. He gets a lot of clean looks. I think you could really credit him with much of this victory because he made some big shots. 2 threes in overtime.
I think he and Adams were probably the 2 of maybe the most important players.
Yeah.
I think it's that, and then you could point to in the second quarter when the Thunder were down 20, and Russ was in there, and Russ carried them to a 13-0 run.
Yep.
And that was Russ's best moment of the entire game, besides those 2 free throws. But I think that's what you point at in this game when you say, well, I don't know.
Well, I think your point about Abrinas, like, I think Russ did a good job of finding him in open spots. Like, there was a couple times where I was like, oh, God, Russ is about to pull up for this while Alex is sitting there wide open. And he didn't do that, and it was very nice. So it was good to see.
But he also did that a lot.
He did it a lot.
Yeah.
But
And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but down the stretch of the fourth quarter and then the whole overtime, every half-court set, the Thunder ran the exact same play where Melo screens Abrinas, who's coming down. Then Melo pops up and screens Russ's man, and Russ comes off the screen to the left and either gets Melo on this whenever Memphis switch, gets Melo in the post, or Russ drives, or Russ pulls up a J.
It's the same set they
Or
ran over
Russ
and over
passes
against
to
the Jazz.
Abrinas whenever Abrinas comes around the horn, and then Adams sets the down screen. There was like zero Russ-Adams pick and roll. The
thing is that's the exact same play they ran when Paul George is in the game against the Jazz over and over and over, which helps when it's Paul George, obviously. But it worked.
But they're running a thing.
Yeah.
I'm happy for that.
Yeah, so
Like, maybe it's the same thing over and over, but just run something.
I'm fine with 2 plays. You run that.
Yeah.
You run a pick and roll with Steven Adams.
Perfectly
Just
fine.
That's all we need. We'll win games that way, or at least try to win games that way.
Until somebody's
Probably
like
lose games that
shuts it down.
this has been a recurring question this year. Almost every one podcast a week, it seems like. So from this week, 2-1, Rob, are you more encouraged or are you discouraged?
I'd say more encouraged. I mean,
Just because of the results?
Just because. I mean, mostly because of the wins.
Yeah.
They should have had other free throw shooting. Obviously, is unfortunately going to be is the theme of this team so far. But if you go back
29th in the NBA.
If you go back and look at some of the previous games that they've lost, I mean, it was because of free throw shooting.
Right.
It's kind of nice to see somebody else miss some free throws and help the Thunder out in that way.
Yeah.
But I think going forward, it was nice to see, whether it was, I mean, it's not good to see somebody get injured, but Paul George was out and they lost to the Nets, but they still beat Memphis, however ugly it was. And
They
so,
bounced back. And
yeah,
it was a back-to-back for Memphis.
It
So
was.
You can make an excuse there, but hey, they went on the road.
The
and
same
they-
for the Jazz whenever they played the Jazz this week as well.
Mhm.
And so I don't know if but I still feel better than I would have if they had gone 1-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact that they are winning for a team that is still below 500 is just nice. I mean, I think there is a little bit of room there for optimism.
Maybe most importantly is what it does for the team mentally.
Yeah.
Just a win as opposed to a loss it helps. It helps your personal optimism if you're a player. Helps the coaches maybe speak to the players more. It just helps everyone's overall mindset.
Yeah, and Rob, like on your point, I'm encouraged as well. I think the biggest point there being that without Paul George without Paul George, they were able to come back from a big deficit and actually win a game. I think that does give them a big mental boost, even though it was ugly.
But still should not get to that point even without Paul George.
Definitely should.
That's
against the
bad
Grizzlies.
part, but-
It shows though how thin this team's depth is right now.
Yeah.
When one of your best, if not the best, bench player on your team all season long, Jeremy Grant, doesn't play well, and you're missing Paul George, man,
It's rough.
you're short. You're short on guys here. What does that concern you guys though? When you look at the minutes, top to bottom for the starters, 37 for Carmelo, then 43 for Adams, 43 for Westbrook, 43 for Abrinas, and 41 for Robertson.
Yeah, I mean, I think that has a lot to do with the overtime. Like,
That's true.
But
That does. But I mean, even
but still,
take
Just
5
5
minutes
minutes,
away from
yeah.
those. Yeah. So 32, 38, 38, 38, 36. Yeah. So I guess that's kind of
For
in
the
line.
week, Russ is averaging 39 a game.
yeah.
And so
Same with his shots. Oh.
It's true.
Not
Nailed
good.
it. Yeah. I don't know. Like the bench is really just they're not trusting them there. But that's where you can kind of point out Abrinas because when Paul George is back, he's going to move back to the bench. We know this. How does Donovan use Abrinas moving forward?
Hopefully more.
He's got to play him. No more riding
I
the
think
bench,
he
right?
needs to use Abrinas with that starting unit without Andre Robertson a lot. I mean, we've kind of talked about this, how having Dre and PG defensively is a little redundant. I think you can get away. I mean, and these past 2 games, I've thought Abrinas has played pretty solid defense, especially his rotations, like helping the helper and then getting back. I think you can run lineups with those 4 starters plus Abrinas, and we've seen those plays tons of times this year where the ball swings around and they're moving it, and it ends in Robertson's hands, and then he hot potatoes it to someone else who has got to make something happen, and all the ball movements almost for naught because it ends up in the same thing with like 4 seconds left on the shot clock. But now imagine instead of Robertson catching that ball out on the wing wide open with 5 seconds on the shot clock and like pissing down his leg, not knowing what to do, it's Abrinas catching a wide open catch and shoot 3, who shot 6 of 8 last night. I think that solves a lot of offensive issues.
Would you go as far to say you think Abrinas should start?
I think it could be an argument.
Yeah. You think there's any merit to
No,
that?
I don't think so. I mean, you look at how good, unless I just think as good as this team has looked defensively, it's just hard to. Defense isn't the issue, and so maybe that's the case that Abrinas should start is because you can get that offense going a little bit because this team. I mean, but first quarters. It have not really been the issue. I mean, we did see a little bit this week where they struggled in the first half. But
That
it's
seems
really
to be good for them.
It's that third quarter that's really where they struggle, and that's kind of been the way it has been with Donovan, since he's been here. And so I don't know if it's a Donovan thing where whatever they're doing in the locker room at halftime is not working or what it is. But I don't think Abrinas starting is necessarily the answer. I think it's more so that they need to start running. We see that same play over and over in the fourth quarter, but other than that fourth quarter, we don't see very much at all. They get stagnant.
Do we only see that one play over and over because at least Donovan knows, like you said, Jason, that they're going to get into something?
They know how to run that one. Do it. Do it
think
again.
Yeah, I mean, is it as simple
like-
as that, or is it Donovan saying, let's just make sure we get into something? I don't want us reverting back to those bad habits.
Yeah.
So is this almost habit building, like, get into a set.
Yeah.
Get into a set.
It could be, And, I'm not saying that Abrinas necessarily should start, but I definitely think he needs to get minutes with that starting unit, whether it be he starts or they pull out Robertson early or they come to – I definitely think Abrinas
Find ways to get him to play with those guys.
should see time with that closing unit of the starting four and then him in place of Robertson.
This is an interesting stat per Eric Horn. In 31 minutes together last night, the starting five of Abrinas, Adams, Robertson, Carmelo, and Westbrook outscored the Grizzlies by 19.3 points per 100 possessions.
Sit Paul George.
So, I mean, think about that, though. Like, to Jacob's point, if you do sub in Paul George for Robertson, it's basically the same thing, but now you have Paul George, who's a
it's way
three-point threat.
Yeah.
I mean, Robertson had a sneaky good week. He really did. If you look at it, 2 steals a game and 2.3 blocks a game over the week.
He averaged 4.3 points, which any points you get out of Robertson, I think is he didn't
100% from the line.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs to be shooting the technicals.
Yeah.
What's it like?
Abrinas missed his.
Abrinas
Yeah, exactly.
missed it.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think the Thunder's percentage on technical free throws?
You think
is
Russ
this
is
year?
ever going to let anybody
it's
else shoot
awful.
one?
No,
Not now?
after Abrinas missed, I think Russ was just like, dude, fuck this. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going to take all of them.
So
Probably
crazy,
so.
man.
50.
He tried.
And as soon as I saw that Russ told Abrinas to go up there, I knew Abrinas was going to miss it.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's almost like a mental thing. Like, he's thinking, I can't miss this.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so he goes in there and he misses it,
It's definitely a mental thing, and it's almost like, it's almost like the entire season is a mental thing. This team is so in their heads at this point, and when you're like that, it's really hard not to overthink it.
Yeah.
Particularly Westbrook.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing with them running sets at all is, like, every time they catch the ball, you see everyone saying, oh, God, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
And that's maybe why they're just running that one set. It's like, hey, you
They
know what to do
They got
now.
that one pretty
Yeah,
good.
they're like, okay,
Okay,
we're
so
building on this.
We're 2 months into the season. So October, you ran 0 plays. November, you run 1 play. December, you're running 2 plays.
There we go.
So they're slowly
Slowly
integrating.
building.
So
By the time the
January,
playoffs come around,
5.
you got 5 plays going on.
yeah, that'll be dangerous.
Stop
man.
that shit. Huh?
Pick your poison. We got 5.
Speaking of mindsets, though, and, like, the mentality of the team, I find it interesting that as soon as Paul George was not on the court, all of the stuff that we've been talking about, Carmelo playing the right way, swinging the ball, not making it stick, all that went out the window.
Yeah,
All of that went out the window.
kind of did.
The last 2 games, you give the ball to Melo, like, anywhere under the 3-point line, and it doesn't matter. I mean, how many double, triple cover turnaround J's did he take last night and brick? How many times did he do that against the Nets and brick? And it's like, I feel like the big three don't really trust a lot of people besides themselves. And even sometimes they don't trust the other members of the big three. It's like, I've got to go get a basket because we're not scoring. And that's like almost the opposite mindset you should have in that situation.
So, like, on the Melo thing, like, I think obviously in his head he's probably like, oh, I've got to make up for Paul George's lack of scoring, so I'm just going to go do that. But to your point, I do think that's, to me, the main problem with this team is that the big three play as a separate entity than the other players. And
Definitely.
like you watch most other teams and you see them all playing as a team.
It's
and
a cohesive
this doesn't
unit.
happen.
Exactly. And the frustrating part about it is like now they're to the point where they're like, oh, okay, Adams can get buckets.
Yeah.
So if I drive, I can drop it off to Adams. I can run a pick and roll with Adams. But I'm afraid to pass to Robertson because he's not going to score a bucket. I'm afraid to pass to Abrinas or Patterson or Grant because they might not score a bucket. But and that's maybe the view that I have that I'm thinking that they're thinking.
Projecting
right?
it on them.
Yes.
Little
But and then at the same time, I'm like, but you guys aren't scoring fucking buckets either. You're shooting like a collective like 38% from the field for the season. Like maybe you should pass a little bit because you guys can't score either. You know?
It's strange. I mean, I think it's very obvious to me that chemistry is a big issue.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say to this point, this project, this experiment, it's not working to this
Nope.
point. I mean, so far this is not working, and I'm not saying it's never gonna work necessarily.
But it's got to. I mean, we're not working on a small sample size anymore.
No, we're not.
We're
And
working on 2 full months of regular season basketball.
We've seen no
and it's still the same issues from day one. Sorry.
We've seen no signs that have just like that they're bouncing out of it. You know, we're just not seeing it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what there is. Like, what else can you really like? Billy has tinkered with lineups a bunch.
It's been
I mean,
a lot of
other
tinkering.
than like continuity, just trying to work.
Is that an
through-
issue? Would you like to see him stick with something for a little bit? We
yeah,
talked
we
about
talked
this.
about this quite a bit on the last podcast, where it was like he continues to. The only thing that's consistent is the fact that he's going to continuously
Yeah.
change his lineups, and so I think it is kind of hard on those guys to try and get sort of any even momentum going with the same guys to try and just continue to get better and figure out just to know where to expect somebody to be.
Right. I mean, and I think that helps your bench. We're talking about mentality this whole time. When you talk about the lack of chemistry this team possesses, give them an opportunity to gain some, right? By rolling a bench unit out there for 5 consecutive games.
I think chemistry is part of it, but also like I think maybe the biggest issue with this team is just Russell Westbrook's been awful.
Yeah, you're right.
You
That's
know?
probably number one.
I mean, two full months of the season, he just hasn't been good.
That's weird.
You know, and some people say, you know, is it the knee? Was it the injections? I mean, we've seen the explosiveness. Like it's not like the explosiveness is not there. He's just flat out just playing bad decisions, bad shots, not finishing. Can't hit a damn jumper to save his life.
He was only 1 for 12 from 3 last night.
One of the best plays they had against Memphis was Russ driving, throwing up a terrible shot, and Adams coming in and dunking it. Or
Yep.
That's kind of our offense right
he
now.
averaged 27 field goal attempts over these last 3 games.
It's
I
fun.
was close earlier with the 34.
I mean, that's
What is that?
crazy.
So what is this though? Is it him reverting, be like, fine, I'm just gonna go back to who I was last year. If this is what I need to do, I'm gonna show people that I'm going out here and I'm trying to win. And his version of trying to win is being like
I feel
he's
bad for
pedal
the
to
guy,
metal.
man. Every time he tries one thing, it doesn't work.
You're right.
Like everybody's giving him shit for
But that's
passing the ball
Westbrook.
too much.
That's
Now
Westbrook.
give him shit for
Yeah.
shooting too much. He's got
Well, you
he's
wouldn't
got to
be-
find the goodness.
but it wouldn't be a problem if they were winning.
if he was making
Yeah.
it.
If they
Yeah.
were winning one way,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
consistently one way or the other.
The
But that's-
fact is, he's having his least efficient year of his entire career.
Yep.
He's now surpassed his rookie season. His true shooting percentage is 48.8%.
Yeah.
Which that includes free throws and 3-pointers.
It's awful.
He's below 40% from the field. He's on the verge of dropping below 30% from beyond 3. He's about 71% from the line.
He's taking way too many threes. I'd be interested, and I don't know how to find these stats, but I'd be interested to see, like, overall for his career, what percentage of his shots come from him driving and attacking the rim, and then to see that number just for this season. Because I feel like this season, that number has to be way down.
Weird.
He's shooting way more. I feel like he's shooting way more mid-range and threes than he is attacking the basket. And whenever he attacks the basket, we see good things happen.
Yeah,
you know,
you're right. Because especially when you have a guy like Adams who's been playing so well this year, he's typically there to clean up for you.
Exactly.
So you gotta.
But
trust
I feel
that.
like Russ's percentage of shots taken at the rim has to be like the lowest of his career. I feel like
Yeah, that'd be a good set
it
to look
feels
up.
like he's settling a lot.
So does that kind of go to your point about this experiment not working, where if no matter what way Russ plays, it's not resulting in good?
Maybe. I think Russ is such an instinctual player that when it's almost like this has gotten in his way a little bit.
Yeah.
And we have a fun question on Legitimate or Preposterous coming up later where we're going to get into this more if maybe last year had an effect on how he's playing this year
Oh, right.
and everything. But I don't know, man. Like I don't know if there's a right theory. Is he happy?
I don't know.
Is he like? Does he have a different demeanor?
So I did wonder
Or is that just because we're losing?
like, and I don't want to make this about James Harden, but whenever you watch,
Son
This
of a
took a
bitch.
weird turn.
whenever you watch games, like whenever you watch the Rockets games, like it looks like they have so much fun.
Right.
Even when they are losing, like they weren't ahead the whole. Even whenever they are losing, like it looks like they have so much fun. And then you watch the Thunder against the Grizzlies, and it was like Russ gets angry at people for like his own mistakes. I
Yeah.
feel like he'll bark at somebody so quick.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if he is. That was a great question. Like I don't know if he is having fun.
Yeah.
Where you watch some of these other teams, and even whenever they are losing, it's sort of trying to figure it out together is kind of fun. But I think Russ just expects to win and to play so well, and when he doesn't, like he just completely turns on teammates rather than trying to build people up, and that's just his personality style.
Right. Yeah. I mean, earlier in the season, it looked like they were having fun even through losses and stuff, and now that's kind of taken a turn.
That
Yeah.
first
where
game
they-
was pretty fun against the Knicks.
Yeah,
That was
that was
they were
awesome.
all
And
having
then the
fun
Bucks game, the last road win before this last one. Yeah,
Great time.
He might even at the line late in the game, which was huge free throws.
Yeah.
He had this weird like he didn't really want to be at the line. He didn't really want to be in that position. Where in the past, I remember the Russ that is like so focused, so hyper focused in that mode, and just is so ready to win the game. And he just almost looks like, I don't know, he has this different just demeanor to him.
It looks miserable.
A little
Yeah.
bit.
And it's sad to watch because it's just like, you know, I've harped on this before. It's like it's a game.
Yeah.
You gotta enjoy it. You gotta enjoy
You
what
just
you
gotta-
do. And
A lot of money.
You remember there was I can't remember what game it was last year, but Russ drives the paint, does that like weird Superman assist to Steven Adams, like jumps up in the air, kicks his legs
Yeah.
out, just kind of
Oh,
shuffles.
yeah.
Phoenix.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun back then, but now it's just that you don't see any of that at all, and he's not playing the same way. And
weird.
of course, you know, you hope he'd change, but it looks like he's miserable, and it sucks.
So what is it then?
It's because he's a dad.
So where, like, if
He's not
we're
getting enough
if
sleep.
we're making one of those detective charts where you know you're doing this, what are those called? Where you're like,
The line,
A
the
Venn diagram?
the red yarn.
not a
Not a
Venn
Venn
diagram.
diagram.
Like the red yarn.
Yeah, the red yarn like pointing. You know,
Oh,
to,
like
like
the-
Charlie in the Pepe episode.
Yeah.
yeah. So what would it be? I mean, you could probably take one to Billy Donovan and say, well, maybe he doesn't. Maybe there's just not great leadership. I mean, maybe
You just have a PCR and going to every player
Yeah.
like it's all of them.
It's
This is
even,
the problem.
even Russ himself, though. I mean, when you talk about him looking miserable, when you talk about him barking at people, that doesn't necessarily speak great leadership, and he's supposed to be the leader on this team.
Maybe it's the pressure. Maybe it's, you know, you just brought in Paul George, Carmelo Anthony. You brought in multi-time All-Stars to this team, and you're 12-13. Maybe it's just the expectations versus reality are weighing down on Russ to the point where he's not playing well. He's forcing it, and
Yeah.
everyone else is forcing it because of him. And just no one is trying to play loose and trying to have fun and actually doing what they can do well. They're forcing it so much that they're losing games and they're looking terrible.
We've rarely seen, to your point, loose basketball by this team. This
We
year.
need Aaron Rodgers to come in and give him a speech. Relax, y'all.
Wait, what?
Cinnamon.
Needs to relax.
Relax, y'all. That's
What
what
is-
that's
what
his
is-
They
speech.
play
Relax, y'all.
play loose.
I think it's more so just losing sucks, right?
Yeah.
And you're doing that a lot. More so, like Justin was saying, like expectations were that this team was going to be, you know, a really good team. And whenever you're still under 500, it's like, well. So I think then that's obviously in their heads. Like
Yeah.
you're getting questions about that. So then during the game, whenever you're struggling a little bit, like then it's like, well, crap, here we go again. Like, how are we going to get out of this? And I think that makes you a little bit tight in the game, and I think all of it, all of it is.
I think that's probably
Heavy.
the best evidence so far is that it could be that expectation just weighing down on him. But it's just so weird because, I mean, that stuff in the past just hasn't seemed to affect Russell Westbrook, right? He's almost been immune to that criticism, and he goes out and he does what he does, and he's been such a good player in the past that despite that he's not the most efficient player in the league. Despite all these things that go against him and that people don't like, modern day basketball, you know, analytics people, despite them, he goes out there and wins and he gets results in the past, you know, and this year he's not getting them. And so when this team loses and then his numbers look like they do and they're even worse than they have in the past, and it all just points back to him and it looks real bad.
Yeah. Well, it's like
That goes back to your point about
yeah.
it's a no-win situation for
No
him.
matter what he does. But also, I mean, there's that whole thing like, can Russell Westbrook play beside other stars? Kind of like what you're talking about. Like, is he like self-realizing like, nope,
Oh my God.
it's just me.
Yeah, but it's not all on Russ though.
No,
Like
no,
those
it's
other
not.
guys
It's definitely not.
have a burden as well that they haven't really held up to. I mean, look at Paul George. He hasn't played in the last 2 games, but you look at him throughout the season, like so inconsistent.
All 3 of them are having the least efficient
Yeah, it's all
years
been
of their
bad.
career.
Right. Yeah. I don't. So I don't. We're harping on Russ right now. That's just because that's what the topic is.
Right.
But it's not all on Russ. Like all of those guys, are like Carmelo Anthony. Like looks terrible right now. Look, you brought it up. It
Yeah.
looks old.
Yeah.
Like it just seems like he has, I don't know, just deteriorated into what we have now, and it's not great.
What did you said last night? Like he had just been not working out his whole life, and now he's just like still not doing that. But it's like he's old, so it's just caught up with him, just
Yeah.
eating McDonald's and fucking playing basketball. Like at some point, you're just like, well, I can't. I'm slow.
On this entire roster, there are only 2 guys that lack culpability for this record, the way the team is performing. That's Daniel Hamilton, because the only time he's played was against the Bulls when we beat the crap out of him.
He's great.
And then obviously Nick Collison, because Nick Collison gets no blame at all.
What about Steven Adams?
Oh,
Steven Adams is, I wanted to throw Steven Adams in there, but at the same time, there have been a few times where he hasn't played great interior defense, which is what we expect him to do. He's kind of gotten caught in no man's land, especially against really talented bigs where it's
Yeah.
just stay home.
you're right.
And I hate, one thing I noticed, just because this just popped in my head and I got to get it out. So,
Get it out.
one thing I
It's
noticed
a
that
safe space.
This
the
is therapy.
stupid thing to do, especially when you have Mark Gasol out there and there's still no Mike Conley, don't switch,
Dude.
on a pick. That pissed me off. So Russell Westbrook should never have to guard Mark Gasol. That's a terrible matchup.
Was that Tyreek Evans and
Yes, Tyreek Evans.
Gasol?
And every time Tyreek Evans would have the ball against Steven Adams, I was like, here comes the blow by
Yeah,
dribble.
I kept
blow by
bringing that
dribble
up.
layup.
Yeah, the
was-
Thunder honestly played pretty good defense aside from on Tyreek Evans.
Yeah.
Exactly what you're talking about. And then a couple times when you switch Russell Westbrook on a guy like Marc Gasol, who's such a savvy player, Russell Westbrook's such a gambler, he's
Yeah.
never going to guard you straight up. He's never going to do that inside on a guy like that. So Marc Gasol is just going to score every time.
The only thing Russ can do is play for the steal. And
or
when he
just
does-
get so far in his body like he did a couple times and just be like, you
I'll say
can't
this.
move anymore.
Alex Abrinas did a pretty good job on the one time that he actually got switched on to him.
I was
think-
about to say that.
I think we bail Russ out a lot by saying he's not, like, what else is he going to do? Like, he's going to go for the steal. He doesn't have to.
Right.
Like,
Play
you could
straight
still-
up defense and
yeah,
use your body.
Just try. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
take a charge or do
Yeah.
something else.
Go
And
back to the fundamentals a little bit.
What you just mentioned, I remember that play exactly where Abrinas had to rotate over and help Adams, who got strung out on the pick and roll, and Abrinas gets between Gasol and the hoop and just stands there straight up.
He jumped.
At
Yeah,
least
and-
to where when Gasol turned to shoot, he had some sort of obstacle in his way to make the
Yeah.
shot more difficult.
Something
and
to
it
think
rims
about.
out, you know?
It gave him something to think about rather than just having a wide open shot.
Exactly.
He missed it. They got the rebound. Abrinas ran out. They got a 3 from Abrinas in transition.
Yep.
It was incredible. Like, it was awesome to see.
I really
Yeah.
can't speak enough how good Abrinas was, though. I mean,
Yeah,
the Thunder
super
needed that
good.
from him so bad that they needed someone besides the big three. Not that the big three, any of them. I mean, Paul George has had a couple games where he's stepped up and been awesome. But they needed someone else to step up besides Steven Adams
Right.
to just have a big game like that, you know?
Someone to shoot well.
And he did
It's
it.
nice.
Let's talk about Billy a little bit. Where does he stand?
Donovan?
The Donovan.
Billy
William
Donovan.
Donovan.
What do you mean, where does he stand?
Yeah,
talking
are
about
you
the
saying,
ball
like, should he
boy.
get fired or?
Not necessarily, but how does I don't know, how is his approval rating right now? Let's put it
From
that
the
way.
fans?
From the
It's
fans, it's in
not
the
good.
toilet. And I think that's very.
Is it fair to
No.
a certain extent?
No, maybe to a very small extent.
Why is it not fair, though? Like, what?
I think that people's response always is when a team plays bad, it's the coach's fault. When a team plays good, it's everybody but the coach's fault.
It's often like
And
that, yeah.
you know, and I don't think Billy's in there saying, "Hey, Carmelo, stop the ball and take shitty triple contested turnaround Jays."
Definitely.
Hey, Russ, don't catch the ball with this final 2 seconds in this Memphis game and turn around and heave a 30-footer with a guy right in your face.
I
you know?
also think maybe that's oversimplifying it, though. So would it be fair to say maybe Billy, which we talked about, doesn't speak to this team? Maybe he's just not the right coach for this team, or is that a different conversation?
No, and I get that. You know, maybe the team's not responding to him,
Mm-hmm.
but who was that on? Is that on Billy, or is that on the players not respecting what their coach is telling them? And
be
then
on
that
both.
becomes
Probably
an
both.
issue of
be
authority.
both.
And then does it look shitty if they bring in another coach? They fire Billy and they bring up Mo Cheeks, and the team's like, oh, okay, we'll listen to this guy.
Well, then I
You
think
know?
I think it would go on Billy more, because then I think as a head coach on the professional level, it's your job to find a way to speak to those guys. Now, you make a completely valid point when if this team's just not responding to what he's saying, they're just not listening to him, then that's definitely on them to a certain extent. But it's also it's a weird back and forth thing here.
Well, this is something we kind of talked about last night. It's not something that we can really know being outside of the team. Like, if it is the fact that you're in the team and no one is listening to him and these guys are just kind of like doing whatever they want and not really paying attention, then he should be fired and he's not doing his job well. But if they are all listening to him and it's just not working, then I don't think it's necessarily his fault.
Yeah, I think they're listening to him, and then they're just not executing on the court. And I think if there was some sort of divide in the locker room where they were like, no, this guy's an asshole, or I don't want to play for him, there would be more public, they'd display that stuff publicly a little bit more. I don't think Billy Donovan is a bad basketball coach. I think he's got a very, very long track record of being a good basketball coach.
Well, and to me,
I don't think just this year he became a shit basketball coach.
Right.
I think maybe this year having 3 All-Stars who all want to play their way and are having a hard time buying into what a coach is telling them to do because they feel like I've played this way my whole career and I've been successful. Why do I need to do what you tell me to do? Or maybe it's not as conscious as that. Maybe it's just you're telling me what to do, but I've always been successful this way, and this is what I revert to, and they're not breaking habits. I think it's more of that than just Billy Donovan is suddenly not a good coach.
No, I don't think anyone here at all is saying that he's not a good coach. I mean, he's shown that he can coach. He's where he is at for a reason. But I think the bigger issue here is when you're talking about a team that's 25 games into a season, and you're 12-13, and they're underperforming to this point for sure. I think people expected them to start slow, and they might have issues. People knew that was going to happen. But, Rob, is it fair if you don't see continuous improvement, you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, and this is a star-driven league, and so obviously you're not just going to cut a star or even trade somebody, but you're going to start with the coach. And I don't think it's a plus for a coach just to say, well, he's not out there shooting these terrible shots or not catching the ball. Like he still is culpable in a way to have to, to be able to get these players to do what he thinks that they should. So, I mean, just because Carmelo's taking terrible shots, not shooting a good percentage, same with Russ, like that's still, and we've heard Russ say post-game that, they haven't done what Billy has tried to get, has told them to do. That's great for Billy. Like, I think that's a plus for Billy that he actually is. But the fact is, he also said they didn't do what he told them. Like, maybe that means they don't really, for one, maybe they don't trust what Billy is telling them to do, or they're not buying in. Either way, like, it's not good. That's not good for Billy.
Well, and then it goes back to, like, the definition of insanity. If things keep going this way and they hover around that 500 level and their offense doesn't improve, then it's like, well, something's got to change.
You got to do something at some point.
You think eventually the players could self-reflect and see, hey, we keep playing this one way and we keep sucking.
It's definitely on them.
And that's kind of where I hope the change happens. And I think they are listening to him, but it's kind of the habits thing where you'll see them come out in the first half and everything looks incredible. Like that's the game plan whenever they're doing incredible things.
Like that first half against Minnesota when they just blew the doors off them. I think as the game goes on, the team starts reverting to those habits because
it's like when they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
There's like their assholes clench up real tight and they don't know what to do, so they just start going back to shooting shitty J's.
It's also it's probably a habits thing a little bit, and then I think some of it's a little motivation. Which at a professional level isn't fair to put on the coach. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're a professional. You got to come prepared and motivated, right? I mean, what more motivation do you need
than the $30 million salary you're making?
Yeah, which is hard to get. I mean, if that's just guaranteed to you, I guess you can make a case like, well, I'm not.
Why do I have to do
I'm getting
more?
that money, so But
it's true.
I don't know. This is such a hard thing to really pinpoint. Because there's no right answer.
It's so easy for fans to overreact about coaches, though, because you're not going to the team store and like, oh, is that Billy Donovan Armani suit?
Exactly.
I'm gonna buy that. Like you're not wearing the same coaches.
That would be amazing.
Same thing coaches are wearing. You're buying players' jerseys, so you don't want to blame the guys that you look up to, you respect. Like, man, Russell Westbrook. I don't want to blame him.
Point.
I'm going to blame Billy Donovan because I have no connection with him. He's just some guy from the Northeast that happens.
Who says
to coach
very
this team.
a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
I think you
it's
just hit the
frustrating.
nail on the head completely.
Yeah, I mean, fans
Completely.
always, they got to have somewhere to.
But that doesn't mean it's wrong. Like that doesn't mean.
But it doesn't mean it's right
completely
either.
wrong. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Definitely.
it could. I mean, it could go
could be
either
either
way.
way.
Just like
Yeah.
Right.
this whole conversation. But just saying that a fan is just going to blame everybody is. Sam Presti is going to blame the coach before he tries to unload Russ, who just signed a huge extension.
Yeah.
Like, it's-
Particularly in this specific situation that the Thunder are in.
right.
Right,
It's even more so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's also easier to get rid of a coach than it is to get rid of a Russell
Exactly.
Westbrook.
For sure.
Yep.
And you never know. Like if Presti were to have a guy on deck, I mean this is the biggest part of it. If he had a guy on deck, it's like I think this guy's the perfect coach for this team. He'll bring a completely new philosophy to the table where maybe that works for this team. Maybe that's what they need. It's just like a philosophical thing. I don't know. It's just goes back to you, Jason. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know that.
We're not in there.
But if the Thunder were to make a change this season, to me that screams like we've given up. This is not going to work. Like it's done at that point. Probably trying to unload Paul George at that point as well. Like you're completely saying like we're done because there is
At that point, you're admitting it didn't work.
right. Yeah.
If you're making a midseason coaching change, also that's not
Is it
most likely
admitting-
going to go well.
Is it admitting that it didn't work, or is it just saying maybe I made a mistake as far as the coach goes, as his fit with this group, and
But
I'm
why
realizing
do
that now.
But the way to do that is during the off season, whenever you can take time, interview guys, figure out who's the best fit, rather than getting rid of somebody and
And
basically
having to
calling-
immediately fill it.
But you would basically probably just call somebody up who's already on,
Yeah,
who's already on
staff.
your bench, already on your staff to coach this team. Well, they're already there. Like just utilize them in a different way.
Right. And
which
you're not-
They're probably already doing.
Right, and you're not going to do that unless the case is that
Right.
these guys aren't. If they're like Russ goes to Sam and it's like, dude, this
I agree.
You got to
And
do something.
Maybe my biggest pet peeve of this whole thing is when fans say the Thunder need to fire Billy Donovan. Maybe a new voice like Mo Cheeks will get through to this team. What the fuck do you think Mo Cheeks does at the practice facility? Just sits there and finger bangs his asshole? Like he's talking
wow.
to people.
That'd be weird.
I mean, he might finger bang his asshole. I'm not going to judge you, Mo Cheeks. But he's not just sitting there like, not doing shit. You don't think Mo Cheeks talks to the team? So firing Billy Donovan and putting Mo Cheeks in the head coaching spot, he's still going to say the same shit to the team.
We're gonna get Fizdale. He's gonna turn us all the way around. So
Yeah.
Phil
He's got
Jackson.
that data.
Phil Jackson's out there.
yeah. So is Mark.
He'll come
Phil
in.
Jackson's
The
high as
Jackson
shit
brothers
right
are
now.
out there.
up.
First day, it's like, all right, guys, we're gonna meditate.
No basketball
Russ is
practice
like, I
for
already
the
do
rest
that
of
at
the-
free throw line.
Yeah.
At free
Got it.
throw line. I don't know why I said it like that. Let's move on to a game, huh?
Yay.
You got it ready?
Yay.
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 It's the return.
Legitimate or preposterous?
You guys know it. You guys hopefully love it. You might hate it.
Everyone just hates this
Nobody.
game.
You know how it works. I'm gonna read a
Amazing.
statement. It's gonna be I don't know. It could be an opinion. You guys are. I'm gonna go around the table. You tell me if that statement is legitimate or if that statement is preposterous. We're gonna start with you, Jason. Legitimate or preposterous? You prefer passive, less than 15 shots per game, Russ, to the hyper aggressive 25 plus shots per game, Russ.
I'm going to say that's legitimate. I think when he takes an excessive amount of shots, he's not really efficient or good.
This is hard because I eliminated the in between.
Yeah, you did. But I'm definitely going with the less than 15 shots. I think he
Which is what he was doing early in
early
the
in the
year.
season. Yeah, but you see a conscious effort to get other players involved, and I think that's when he's at his best. When he's doing
Anybody
that.
that prefers volume, Russ, is a crazy person. Like, who would want the less than 40% field goal percentage this season, Russ?
Yeah.
Shooting.
Honestly, I
more.
prefer when he takes 12 threes
yeah.
and misses all but one.
I either want to win by 40 or lose by 30. No in between.
It's true though. I don't know. It is weird because ideally it's the 18 shot per game, Russ. Right?
Yeah,
That's
like
what.
the
That's
in
what
between is the better.
when he goes, I don't know, 10 for 18. I would kill for a 10 for 18 game from Russell Westbrook.
Wouldn't know what to do. You wouldn't know what to
That's
do.
a
I
win.
just-
That's an easy
Oh,
win
for
though, right?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, every time.
So he just needs to shoot the ball better. Boom, solved it. Now we know.
Yeah.
We figured it out.
Better and less. That's the fix.
legitimate.
Wait. Making shots is how you win basketball games?
Well, it helps.
Oh, okay.
It's a really
It
big.
just helps.
It's a big part of it.
It just helps.
Well, it's the points part of it.
And then stopping the other guys from making points.
All right,
Those
Rob.
two things combined.
Oh, I figured it out. Okay.
Yep. Rob, legitimate or preposterous? Steven Adams has been the best player on the Thunder this season.
That's good. I'm going to go preposterous.
Woo!
He's been the best player recently.
All right, well, then I'll stop you here because Jacob had one too. Legitimate or preposterous? Paul George has been the best player on the Thunder this team.
I'm gonna go legitimate on that one.
There we go.
Just because when you factor in, defense, how good, so good defensively.
Very good.
Very, very good, really. And then,
TBH.
He's put up a couple of great games offensively. Obviously, he's put some stinkers up there as well. But just for me, he's been a little bit more consistently. Obviously, Russ is going to be up there as well. But I'll say it's legitimate. There's at least an argument to be made. Whereas what you would expect, especially last year, but even this year, it would be Russ hands down. I think it's great that there's an argument to be made.
I think Steven Adams has the best PER on the team. Not that PER is the most valid stat, but it is interesting.
He's got the best of his career by
a lot.
I think he's at
quite a bit.
21 something, and Russ is at 20 something. And
see, I thought Steven Adams was higher than I thought he was like 27. Let me look that up.
Nope.
Yeah.
You got it in front of you?
No, but
Okay.
I just know that's wrong.
Nope.
All right.
Find it though.
You're wrong.
Find
Yeah,
it
I'm
though.
gonna look it up.
Jacob, legitimate or preposterous? The complete oppositeness of Alex Abrinas and Andre Robertson is a good problem to have.
Preposterous.
Ooh. I agree with you.
I think
Continue, though.
I think
You'd
you'd
rather
rather have one player that's average to above average on both sides of the ball than one player that's elite on one side and terrible on the other. And although I don't think Alex Abrinas is elite on the offensive end, and I don't think he's terrible on the defensive end, I think Alex Abrinas is more to that middle ground than Andre Robertson is.
One thing we haven't brought up is in the Nets game, in that first half in particular, Alex Abrinas had two great pick and roll passes out of the pick and roll as the ball handler, and it was like, woo! I like that.
Yeah.
I don't think Abrinas could be like a main ball handler or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I think, if you have him out there with guys like Russ and PG, Abrinas is as a third guy who can catch and put the ball on the floor and make a pass. I just don't think you want him doing it regularly.
He's a smart basketball player. Wouldn't you say?
I think he's very cerebral.
Well, and one of the guys we haven't talked about yet, which maybe we will later, but you have Raymond Felton, who has kind of not really picked up his role as much as I thought he would with Paul George out. So somebody like Abrinas or somebody else just to kind of step up, even if it's just a small amount, just to help out in that way would be so huge for this team.
I think it's super important for this team going forward to get Alex Abrinas a lot of shots and Paul George a lot of shots as far as from the 3-point line.
Yep.
This team needs that. They need that, those tough threes to go in because one thing you're not seeing, they don't generate corner threes, man. They very rarely generate corner threes. And I don't know if that's play design, if that's just
And speaking
chemistry.
of corner threes and shooting, a little off topic here, but Patrick Patterson looked really good this week.
He's looked better.
He did.
He's looked better.
He's finally coming around.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. I'd be interested to see if they kind of increase his workload a little bit
That'd be nice.
for these games next week. All right, Justin. Legitimate or preposterous? All of the Thunder's blown leads leading to losses are actually a good thing in the long run.
Legitimate.
Woo!
I like it.
I knew he was gonna go with it.
I'm always a big proponent of you learn to win by losing sometimes, and I think that's something that when you've got such a big lead, you have to learn how to keep that. And as this team progresses, you just have to go through that experience to be like, oh, hey, here's where we fucked up. Let's not do that. And of course, they haven't gotten to the point where let's not do that. But yeah, no, I'm totally fine with it. Big OU basketball fan. Last year when they were terrible, I know that Lon Kruger was watching his team suck. And it was just I kind of like losing because I get to teach these guys something. And now that these are professional athletes, it's okay, we just lost. We're sucking. We have to figure this out ourselves by watching film.
It makes for a little different situation though, because we bring up all the time the contract situations, the Paul George, the Carmelo Anthony.
But you also say legitimate, but if they end up losing, if they're in the fourth seed by a game or by 2 games by the end of the year, it's oh man, we blew a lot of close games. Maybe it wasn't as legitimate as we thought.
Maybe that wasn't so helpful.
Yeah, that wasn't-
Unless if you're in that 4 seed and the Warriors are in that 2 seed.
That's what I was about to say. What if
Could
Houston
be,
gets the 1 seed?
Do you guys think Houston?
Don't
I
hold your
think
breath.
I kind of
they
think they're
can.
going to.
Don't
I think
hold
they
your
will.
breath.
You don't think they will?
No way.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Curry's out for a couple weeks.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, Curry's out for a couple weeks.
Haven't they won?
Warriors
They-
are kind of just in coast mode until the playoffs
They
hit.
haven't lost.
Yeah.
Well, he's been out. I think he missed the last 2 games.
I watched.
They haven't lost.
The worst thing to do to yourself as
Just
a
watch
Thunder
them.
fan
Yeah, I don't do
is
it.
watch Kevin Durant have a good game.
Especially without Curry, because then
Yeah.
he seems to play even better.
You like forget how freaking.
But
good he
Russ
is.
was holding KD back because KD played better whenever Russ wasn't on the court, you know.
He sucks.
But that conversation whenever Curry's on the court, null and void. Null and void.
By the way, random interjection here. Steven Adams is at 21.18.
Nailed it.
PER.
21.2. You round
We
up.
round
You have
up to
round
1
up.
decimal
Yeah.
place here.
Russell Westbrook is right behind him at 33rd in the league with 20.9.
What about Carmelo? Carmelo's way down as well.
Oh
than
my
he-
god, I can't
Well,
imagine.
he
where
is
he's
not
at,
in the
man.
top 50. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I would imagine Melo's around like a 13. He's got to be below average. I think 15's average, right?
No, he's got to be higher than that.
I wouldn't think
I can
so.
pull it up real
Ooh, is he
quick.
really not in the top? He's not in the top 100 either.
He's not in the league anymore. All right, Jason. Legitimate or preposterous? The Thunder's 9-3 record at home is a better indicator of who this team is than its 3-10 record on the road.
I'm gonna say legitimate. I think
This is a hard question.
Really?
it is. Yeah, I
That means you think they're a good team.
think they're going to be a good team. I don't think they're currently a good
Okay.
team, but I think they are going to be a good team.
Now it's crazy though.
And
I
I
saw a
think
stat
that-
earlier. Sorry to cut you off. I saw a stat earlier on Twitter. 9-3 records better than the Rockets are at home. Better than the Warriors are at home. It's weird.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but the road.
The
You
road
know,
is
I know,
important.
I know, but isn't that funny? It's just like a
Yeah.
two teams.
They're
here, man.
always really good at home. Well, you could make the same about the Warriors, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sorry.
The fix to the team is Russell taking his wife and child on the road with them, and then everything will be solved.
Really, just probably his whole home.
His whole home,
Like an
his
up
He gets a
situation.
travel trailer that they
Yeah.
live in. It's very nice, though.
I would like to see his home road splits. I haven't looked at that lately.
I haven't either. Carmelo, a 15. Exactly 15.
0.1.
Round.
We're doing 1 decimal place here.
Oh, okay.
Remember? All right, Rob. Legitimate or preposterous? Russ's style of play and being let loose, so to speak, last season is hurting him and the team this season.
I don't like this question,
You're the one who made
even
this
though I
question.
came up with it. Because it makes me a little
Congratulations,
sad.
you played yourself.
It
Yeah,
makes,
that is the perfect one.
it makes me a little sad to just think about, like, how awesome it was. But whenever you see, like, you watch Russ game in and game out, like, still seems to be hunting for rebounds, like, still not playing great defense, which we kind of gave him a pass last year because he had such, the offense was all on him. So I do think that it's legitimate that playing that way out of necessity last year did sort of it carried over to
Was
this
it
year.
out of necessity last year?
Yeah. Why not?
I mean, what else?
Well, I don't know. I think you could make a case that to go to almost Justin's point about, you take a loss that season almost and just try to
You
get
learn.
everyone going more so than he really
That probably
did.
would have
Didn't the
helped us
Thunder
more
do?
this year than
No, I'm not.
what
I'm
we
not.
did.
Nah, but I liked that.
No,
last
but
year.
it's not.
Hey, he wouldn't have won the MVP if he did
Yeah.
that.
That's
so
true.
That would have sucked.
One thing that I think it impacts more than anything is that Russell Westbrook has zero idea how to play off the ball.
Yeah, for sure.
He has no, and that wasn't the case in the past in his career. Like he wasn't the best off the ball, and obviously honestly he got on the ball more when Donovan came in. He really started dominating the ball once Billy Donovan was hired as
That's
the
why
coach.
KD left.
It could be.
I wonder if it's just
And 'cause he's
because
a bitch,
of how he plays on, like when he has the ball. Like it's like spread out, high pick and roll, kind of what the NBA is.
Yeah.
But high pick and roll, spread out, and so whenever he is off ball, it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to stand out here, give you space, let you work, and how you need to, whatever you need to do.
You talking about Russ?
Like Russ, yeah. Whenever Russ is off the ball and somebody else has it, it's like I'm going to step back, kind of give you space and let you work, rather than trying to work within some kind of an offense and
yeah, and trying to make this my play too.
Right.
almost.
Rather than trying to
working
play
together.
basketball.
yeah. All right.
No, it's true though. He hasn't. You watch him off the ball, and he literally has no idea how to play off the ball right now.
Well, he just stands there.
Has
Yeah.
no
I don't know
in-
if it's
he
he
has
doesn't
no
know how to play off
interest.
the ball or he doesn't want to play off the ball.
There's no interest.
You know.
I think he does. I think he's an underrated team player in a sense.
Well, I'm not saying like, oh, this is your possession. I'm gonna pout in the corner, but I would argue a lot of people say Russ is a high energy guy. He's a high energy guy with the ball in his hands.
Do you think that like he stands over there when he doesn't have the ball? And he's like, I can't wait to get the ball.
Yeah, it's coming back.
Yeah, and I think that he
Ooh, it's
thinks
gonna be good.
he has got a better chance of getting the ball as being a release valve,
Yeah.
just to throw it back out and reset, than he does cutting
Yeah.
or screening.
He might be more useful.
Yeah, but
in that
he's
way.
wrong if that's the case.
Yeah,
like
he's very
he's-
wrong.
I mean, he's so good. Whenever he does cut, or just creating movement, making the defense move.
In the way they'll have to react, he's either going to get a bucket or get fouled.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even if he cuts, he might not get the ball, but he's like you just said,
distract
he's making
somebody.
the defense move,
Yeah.
and he's creating an opportunity for somebody else.
And I
think Russ also only likes to pass the ball if it leads to an assist and not move the ball for the purpose of ball movement.
And that's completely fair. Like, I 100% agree. And even whenever guys don't shoot and he feels like they should right after his pass, like, he will get all over somebody.
Yeah.
Even if it leads to a they
bad
still
shot.
Score,
Yeah.
They still score. Like, he will
And then he's
still
mad
get all
about
over
it, yeah,
somebody.
because I think, in his mind, I'm a good basketball player if I make an assist, not if I make the pass that leads to a pass.
And that was really where that question came from.
That's back to habits.
Was Russ sort of wanting it to, padding his stats, which we're crapping all over Russ right now, but
We
it's
really
not,
have gone on a
but it's
Russ
not,
tangent.
I don't think any of us
I
are
still
like,
love him.
Yeah,
we still love him, but I also think this conversation is completely fair.
So do I.
yeah,
Agreed.
hold him accountable.
No, we know what he's capable of, and that's why we're having this
Yeah.
conversation. We know how good he actually
I don't
is.
think because we're Russ fans, we just have to bow at the altar of Russ
Right.
and never criticize. I
Yeah.
think that's part of being a fan is criticizing.
And to go back to him off the ball, sorry, Justin.
Oh, no, you're
he's actually become a pretty decent catch and shoot 3-point shooter. Like, he gets set, he gets
I
in
had those
rhythm.
numbers the other day, and I don't know what they are updated, but you're right. And I mean, his numbers, you could tell, go up whenever he does get.
Yeah, where in the past I think he's always been better off the dribble, but
Also off the ball, he does a good job of that whenever he inbounds off the baseline and to Adams, and then he'll start to come up to the ball and instead backdoor, and he'll get that pass for a dunk all the time.
Yeah.
Off ball situations like that, he does really well.
they should just put in Nick Collison on after timeout plays under the basket. You had something? Did I cut you off?
Yeah, we're not mad at Russ. We're just disappointed.
Yeah,
There it is.
Exactly. That's
Exactly.
Zach Dad. All right, next. Where are we at here? Who's up?
Somewhere.
I think it's
Jacob.
me.
Jacob.
Oh no.
Legitimate or preposterous? This season is diminishing the value of Russell Westbrook's triple-double numbers.
Legitimate. I think
I'm talking grand scheme here, not just this season's 8 triple-doubles that he has, but overall,
You
he has
mean-
a good chance of becoming the overall
yeah, but
triple-doubles
you're
leader
saying
of all time.
diminishing the value of his triple doubles, whenever he gets one, it doesn't mean as much.
Maybe more so how he'll go down in history. You know what I mean? As the triple-double
Interesting.
king, or is it the guy just chased them? You know what I mean?
Well, I will say, not to take your question there,
You're
but like
mine now.
there are like what we have found out, especially last year, there are bad triple doubles and there are good triple doubles.
Correct.
That was never more evident than last season, where Russ would still get a triple double and they would have no chance to win because he played so terribly.
Yeah.
Whether
Chasing
it was
the triple double.
chasing,
Yeah.
playing
Well, let's-
terrible on defense, not shooting the ball well, or whatever.
Let's do this one for Jacob then. Legitimate or preposterous? Russell Westbrook, out of his 8 triple-doubles this year, more of them are bad triple-doubles than they are good triple-doubles.
And I don't want to cut you off again. No, but just really quick.
I'm gonna let you finish.
They couldn't win a game without Russ getting triple doubles early on this year.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jacob.
That one's hard to answer because I can't go back and mentally recall all the 8 triple doubles and how the team performed in those games.
I
but
think they're 4-4.
I think
Are they?
it's very fair to
Maybe
say
five.
They
that
started out 4-0, I thought.
statistics do not reflect how Russell Westbrook plays the game.
Dead on.
I think Russell Westbrook could get whatever statistics he wants. And like Rob just said, last year he could get triple doubles and they'd lose by 20. I don't think a triple double for Russ determines the quality of basketball the team played.
It's
crazy.
What's weird, though, in the past that it kind of has, and now I feel like it's not as much
Exactly.
anymore.
I think, like I said, I think Russ can get the stats when he wants to get the stats. And I think 30, 40 years from now, whenever we look back at this,
I'm gonna be dead.
we're going to see him. I think we'll all be dead.
God.
We will
No.
we will all see that, what he did was impressive. And to be able to go up against other athletes of that caliber and record those stats is impressive. But those stats did not determine if Russell Westbrook was a good player or bad player or had a good game or a bad game.
I would be interested to see how many games teams have lost when somebody does record a triple double outside
Just
of Russ.
NBA wide.
Yeah, just outside of Russ. How many times did a player get a triple double and that team lose?
That's a good one.
That would be something to look up.
All right, Justin. Legitimate or preposterous? Carmelo Anthony is the Thunder's biggest problem right now.
Preposterous. I think Russ is.
Oh,
This is just a
You have to leave. You have to leave.
Oh,
We just said we're not. we
Someone
like
is
him.
going
I
to
agree with
murder
you.
us.
No, I
What?
just Look, I'm not that upset with this team. Like
We made that way dramatic.
I don't like the fact that they're 12-13. That sucks. But I think this team can be better. I think they will be better. I think Russ will be better.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just
He
need
can
to-
only be better.
Yeah,
Can't be worse?
But the thing is, he's not playing like absolutely terribly. He's just playing terribly compared to his own standards and the standards we as fans have set for him.
It's mostly shooting the ball, shot selection, and free throws.
And decisions.
And
Just
defense
in general.
and
I think
His defense is kind of what it's been, though, right?
I guess. I
Russ's
mean, we're still
defense?
Yeah.
talking about playing better.
It's been better and worse at times.
Yeah, I mean, he's still up and down like he always
It's a matter
is.
of focus.
Yeah.
It's a matter of
Not
focus.
Oh God.
And effort.
when it comes to Melo, I think Melo like he's kind of reverting back to the same things that he's always done. But you expected that the entire time. He's also eventually trending in the right direction. It's kind of that whole up and down. But
Yeah.
you see where the trajectory
Like
is
a
over
Venn
time.
diagram, right?
Rob thinks everything's a
It's a Venn diagram.
All right, sorry.
Guess we know the title of this episode.
God, people are going to listen to this episode and leave us such hateful comments. These guys are Russ haters. Never listen to them.
It happens.
I would say line graph with a best fit line.
Ooh, he knows his charts.
Science.
All right, Jason. Before we get to the fun ones, because we have a few fun Christmas-themed ones, legitimate or preposterous? The Thunder would be better off with Cantor and McDermott instead of Carmelo Anthony.
Preposterous. And I only say this because of the playoffs.
Okay, so
I think
regular
regular
season-wise,
season? They'd probably be better.
yeah,
I don't think
they
there's any
would.
question about it. Regular season.
yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Can I
But
interject?
playoffs, I think Melo's going to be very useful if we make the playoffs.
I think Melo raises the ceiling of the team. I think Cantor and McDermott raise the floor of the team.
That's
that
probably
make sense?
That's probably
Yeah.
right.
I think
Yeah.
with Carmelo, the range is wider,
Yeah.
but the ceiling is definitely taller.
could
You
Suck
saw
really
it. You going back to that Golden State game. You saw how important Carmelo Anthony can be to this team.
Exactly.
I mean, he worked Draymond Green in that game. Like,
And I think-
he was a really tough matchup for Draymond Green. If you can make that, you can make Draymond Green work.
And I think when you have Melo on your team, it allows you to put your 5 best players on the floor at once. And when you had Cantor on the
Yeah.
team,
You can't.
you couldn't.
That's true.
Yeah, he couldn't play.
That's true.
He couldn't.
Just over.
Not against those teams.
There's always something. Why can't we just go 82-0?
That's true.
Someday.
You know, if we didn't have Adams, then I think definitely like Cantor is way
82-0?
more productive. Yeah, 82-0.
All right,
That's
Rob.
the problem.
We're getting to the fun ones. Christmas. Christmas is around the corner, right?
What's that?
I heard it's like almost 2 weeks away or so.
So I think Jacob's going to be sad this isn't his question. But legitimate
I
or
already am.
preposterous, Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I'm gonna say preposterous.
Fuck you.
What?
Whoa.
You think not?
Yeah.
Are you
preposterous.
saying preposterous as well?
No, I'm saying legitimate. It is a Christmas movie.
I've got a
What is the
machine gun.
setting?
Ho, ho, ho.
What is the setting of the
my
movie?
ears.
It's a fucking Christmas party. It's
Yeah,
a Christmas
it
movie.
also came out in March.
So
The intention of it
That
was
definitely plays into it.
Did
for sure.
Independence Day come out on July 4th?
I think it did.
Yeah, probably.
Oh,
did.
fuck.
That's like a. But does that mean like a? So if a scary movie came out in March, is it not a horror movie anymore?
No, it's just
Wait,
not a Halloween
How
movie.
is that the
true.
same?
That's true.
Totally different.
Not valid.
So if How
Bad
the Grinch
point.
Stole Christmas came out in July, it's not a Christmas movie?
But they wouldn't because it is a Christmas movie. It would
but
come
if
out
it came out in
around
July, would it not be a Christmas movie?
If a movie called Easter came out in October, is it?
So do you have any?
Am I doing this right?
I don't know how this works anymore.
Okay, so it doesn't matter when the movie comes out as long as it has a Christmas tree in it. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Arguably.
All right.
No.
Just a Christmas tree.
You're right.
Hey, I'm just the guy who doesn't think Christmas movies come out in March, but that's just me.
Yeah,
what a-
you can be wrong. It's okay.
What a polarizing topic.
Could
this
be,
is.
haven't been, but
All right,
you're right. It could be.
All right, Jacob. Legitimate or preposterous? The movie A Christmas Story is overrated.
Slightly.
There's no
There's
slightly.
no slight. It's yes or no. Or
Legitimate.
or preposterous.
You got it wrong.
Legitimate.
Legitimate.
I think it's very, very slightly overrated. It's a solid movie. Solid movie. Slightly overrated.
Does anybody actually like that movie?
legitimate
No, I
or
don't.
Yeah, it's a
preposterous?
good movie.
A Christmas Story is a Christmas movie.
I'm gonna go preposterous.
Came out in July. Can't be.
All right, Justin. Last one. Legitimate or preposterous? Christmas is the best holiday.
You know, I feel like you waited to ask the guy that's born 5 days from Christmas this question.
he hates it.
Just so he could
Which
go on a
which
fucking-
way? Before or after?
No, fuck Christmas.
Oh, wow.
Okay, not
So
fuck,
we've pissed
Yes!
off all the Russ fans and all the Christians on the podcast.
not fuck Christmas. I like Christmas, but it really bothers me. My birthday's on December 20th. I've always got it's birthmas to me. It's my birthday and Christmas are the same
Are you
fucking
Christ?
holiday.
Oh my lord!
I might be. I don't
You got
know.
that beard going.
So what is the
White
best, what is the
skin, blue
best holiday
eyes.
then?
America's fucking birthday.
July 4th.
Yeah.
That
Did I
sounds
get
like the
that
answer
right? I'm not sure.
Is there a
Is
second
that Easter?
birthday?
Is that what Easter is? I still haven't figured
We're
out what
so
Easter
off
is.
the rails in this game. Let's
good.
move on to some Twitter questions.
Let's do it.
Tweet, 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 tweet.
From Will
banger.
at Galbraith Will. Do you think Kyle Singler has a tramp stamp? If so, any speculations on what it could be?
Yes, he's got a tramp stamp. It's the Nickelback logo.
I think he probably has some, like, what's happening over here?
I don't know.
No, keep going.
Oh,
Sorry.
Like, just some, like a symbol of, like, Chinese, like,
I was about to say it's got to be East Asian, right?
yeah, or some, like,
Does it just say hooker, but he thinks it
It'll
says
just-
like love or something like
yeah,
that?
or just like a, maybe a yin yang.
It's a
Could
butterfly.
be.
It's a butterfly.
Oh, a butterfly.
Yeah,
Is it possible it's like some tribal?
butterfly.
A tribal
Like
butterfly.
I don't even think this is up for discussion. It is a butterfly.
For sure.
Purple
Okay.
wings.
All right, that settles it, I think.
I think
Yeah, he's so underground. It's probably like just a cocoon before it comes out to be a butterfly.
Ooh.
I think it's the Duke Blue Devil chugging a beer and riding a mechanical bull.
Oh,
I like that.
That's a pretty good
might,
candidate.
That might beat out that butterfly.
I like that a lot.
From Thunderup at My Name is Devin. Do you wipe standing or sitting? This is important stuff.
Who's taking this? Sitting?
I'm a sitter.
Sitting, yeah.
Oh, I'm a stander.
Okay.
Really?
Okay.
I'm like middle ground, like a squat. Like
What?
Oh,
What?
God.
just get your ass a little bit off the toilet, you know?
You must have really strong thighs.
Like wall sits.
yeah. No, I have to prepare.
Justin, can we get your opinion on that one, please?
Oh, sitting. I already said sitting.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. No, we're good. From Dr. Rabbit at Drummer Abbott, our boy. Explain like I'm 5 years old. Why Thunder play so bad? Why Thunder play so bad?
Russell Westbrook.
Hey, they went 2-1.
Yay!
Positivity on here. What you're gonna get from Thunderheads is positivity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
As
kid.
we've shit on
Finally.
everything for the past
This-
45 minutes.
This team's going to get better, buddy. That's what I'm going to say to the kid.
They won 66.6 repeating % of their games this past 3.
Just one
Do
decimal.
you
That's how
guys?
you explain it to a
decimal point,
5-year-old.
please.
Yeah, so it'd be 7.
Yeah.
6.7. Do you guys remember what you predicted prior to the season for wins totals?
Yes.
So many. All of the wins.
I think I had a lot of them in there.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot.
I
That's where it becomes depressing.
I think
a
we
little
might
bit.
We
be
need to
getting-
go back and
I was in
look.
the 60s.
I said 54.
We're probably closing in on my losses. We're probably close. That's not a good sign.
Oh, man. That's sad. From Andy Adams at Andy Adams Music. Did Steven Adams get his tattoo in the transitional New Zealand Maori fashion of hammering ink into the skin? I think traditional.
Traditional was
yeah,
the word.
Was,
Yeah,
was the word.
my
yeah.
bad.
Yeah, you're
I
bad.
didn't fix
absolutely.
it.
I'm gonna re-ask this question.
Do it.
Did Steven Adams get his tattoo in the traditional New Zealand Maori fashion of hammering ink into the skin? He seems that tough.
No, I'm pretty sure I've seen a video of when he got added to his sleeve, and it's just
Well,
a
that's
regular
not a
old
fun
tattoo
answer.
gun.
Yeah, no, he could though.
I think he definitely did.
He should get like the branding. Is that what it's called? Like where
Oh,
you take the
shit.
hot. You know what I'm talking
I
about?
wish he would have got a prison tat
Like
with
a
just a guitar
cattle
string.
brand.
Yeah,
Like,
like don't like a lot of guys. I think football players in particular, they get like the.
Yeah, that's good.
So
Dumb.
there's a fraternity. It's the Omegas. Like you'll see a lot of guys with an Omega.
I'm the most uninformed person.
Yeah, you don't know about how things work outside of basketball.
No.
So it's
Didn't realize
possible
it was
that
a
he
frat
got
thing.
he got a little bit of that tattoo that way, but mostly probably not.
I could totally see him doing it though.
I could.
Yeah.
I hope he does.
From Toddy Skiv at Sigto117.
Wow.
Is Russ playing this bad so both Melo and PG leave and he can be the only star again?
Oh my god.
Boo.
This might be accurate.
He just is sabotaging the season on purpose. Well, I liked that last year when I just
Remember that time I won that MVP?
That was cool.
Isn't it crazy to look back at that though and he had a few games at like 54 points, 12 rebounds, 16 assists. I mean,
So good.
it's incredible what he had to do last year. I don't know if he had to do it, what he did last year though. And 47 and 35. That seems like such a good record right now.
Yeah.
I
So
would
you
love
can
that
finish
record.
above 500? Is that?
That's how this works.
From our Thunder, the official Twitter account for the Thunder subreddit at Reddit Thunder, how badly does OKC need to make a move before the deadline?
Pretty badly, I think.
I think it depends on what type of a move you're talking about, but
I think they got to do something.
I think
really
they will
do.
do something, and I think they will also be a player in the buyout market as well.
Yeah, they need to
Post.
just fill
I
that-
can't wait till
they
they
need to
get
fill that
Nerlens.
spot.
it's happening.
Nerlens.
They're
So
getting
I
Nerlens.
think we talked about it prior to the season as one of our predictions, and I think a lot of us maybe said Jeremy Grant. Who's the most likely to get traded on this team?
I still think Jeremy Grant's a prime candidate.
Agreed.
Interesting.
Brandon, you've been beating this redundancy sort of Paul George, Andre Robertson thing.
You
No, I was
you
just
still
wa-
moving Dre.
Like, how about?
I don't know.
What if?
I'm not sure.
To me, that does sort of seem like.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this before. He does have the most tradable contract, being that it's
You
a
know, there's
decent
people out
value
there
and
that
long-
talk
he's
about.
locked in.
There's people out there that talk about how no teams would want to take on that Robertson
that's
contract.
false.
Yeah, I think that's false too.
That's false.
It's $10 million a year.
Yeah, it's not
like-
a terrible contract.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that a lot of teams would like what he would bring.
And I think-
He's not too different from a guy like Luke Mbah-a-Moute. You
Yeah,
know?
and I think if you
got an
compare
easier name to say,
Robertson with Grant, I think that's a pretty attractive package to some teams, especially
Or
with
they're
the,
like,
with the
now
youth.
we're just the Thunder. You know?
Is there anybody besides Russ that definitely would not be on the move from this team? Like, would you
Like
you
has
say
no chance of being
yeah,
traded?
no
Carmelo Anthony?
chance.
Adams?
He has a no trade call.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
No,
Melo's got the no trade
regardless,
clause.
regardless of that.
What about
Because he
Adams?
could waive that.
I think Adam.
I don't think he has a chance to get traded.
I don't either.
I think this team needs him so much that
Yeah.
they wouldn't even.
That'd be a
I mean, because I don't. Is there any possible way to trade Adams and get a greater return
I
than
don't
what
think
you're
so.
giving out? I don't think there
I also
is.
don't think there's any chance they're going to shop Paul George. Unless Paul George specifically looks Sam Presti in the eye and says, I'm not re-signing
Yeah.
here. I'm leaving in the summer. Then I think he'll get traded. Besides that, I don't think they're
That's
even
gonna
going to
be-
conclude it.
Adams, you
talks.
can Adams, you can make a case about the salary though, like you did with Robertson. I think Adams with the salary, you could make that case that maybe nobody
if
would.
if
We-
everything's just falling
Yeah.
to pieces, and
You
you're
know, we
just
could
like,
do that
let's
that
get
Bill
rid of
Simmons
it.
trade.
Oh,
What was
wow.
that? I think he said Adams for Seth Curry and Nerlens.
What?
Why would anybody do that?
Because
That
it's
is
Bill
salary
Simmons.
dump is what his point in the article was. The
Okay.
Thunder, they suck.
That's just everything.
Dump
goes to
some
shit.
salary.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
go, okay.
That's why you don't listen to Bill Simmons.
Agreed.
Good point. From Barry McCockner at Thunder Bucket 7. Would Presti have traded Cantor and Doug McDermott and another piece to land Gasol instead of Melo?
well,
Gasol.
I don't think. Yeah, I think he's talking about Marc Gasol.
Yeah.
Probably Mark.
I don't. Well, then you're stuck with Gasol and Adams.
Yeah,
and
you
that's
can't
a
do
weird.
them. You can't have them both.
Yeah, that's a weird
weird.
thing.
So no.
But I understand maybe the point of the question is more maybe you shouldn't have traded for Melo. I think is kind of the point
Yeah.
here. But it goes back to what we've talked about it before. What was the Melo trade? What was the biggest part of the Melo trade? Was it because, hey, let's get Melo? Or was it this is another thing we can put on the table and say, hey, look, Russ, we did this. Resign. Come back. Because if you remember, Russ didn't resign until after the Melo trade.
Right.
We got a YouTube question here from Vinicius Schroeder. Should the Thunder fire Billy Donovan?
Oh god.
We just wanted
No.
we wanted to read it though because
yeah, I just
we
wanted to-
encourage
I wanted
these
to give
YouTube.
him the props for asking it. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks, appreciate it. What's next?
From Zach Weber at Z Avalanche 33 with a
Zach Weber,
threeness-
33.
Yeah.
He's got a 33 in his
He's
name.
got
With a threeness shooting well last night, do you think his awful shooting woes are behind him, or was it just the opportunity opponent they played last night? Excuse me.
It's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really hope his awful shooting woes are behind him.
Yeah.
That is my hope.
Can't be worse, right? I mean, at least he had one game where he did shoot it really well, and at
Maybe-
minimum that could.
Buy him some more minutes.
I think a big part of Abrinas is his balance. Is when you see a lot of times when he's, we talk a lot about you got to get Abrinas on the move. You got to get him running around screens and stuff. But he does struggle when he's running that fast around screens to get set with getting his balance and making that shot. So as you see him get better at that, those shots will start to go in. So what's he at? He's at 36.5% from 3 right now.
After shooting
6 for 8.
6 for 8 last night.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I mean, that's
been rough before.
That's gonna boost.
I think
your,
before he was at like 31%, you know, so
which
Yeah.
is
still better than Russell Westbrook, still probably better than
Well,
what Carmelo Anthony was shooting.
I hope so. On all of the a guy that I don't know if anybody didn't on this podcast predict him to shoot over 40% from 3. So terrible.
That's weird.
Next.
all right, from Always and Forever Art at Always and Forever Art.
Took
Why-
the ER out for his Twitter handle. I like it.
Why doesn't Billy just set a 9-man rotation and go with that for 5 or 6 games to create cohesion? Also, why doesn't Tupat play more?
It's a fair thing. We brought it up earlier.
Yep.
I think I said that exactly. Why not give a rotation, a certain group, 5 games? Stop switching it around.
Well, Tibbs is getting a lot of shit for playing 9 guys for
Yeah.
back-to-backs and all these kind of
That's
games.
also because he plays his starters 40 plus.
Yeah, he does.
So
But yeah, I mean, I think if you had a little bit better balanced 9-man rotation, it probably wouldn't
Tibbs
be a
is
bad
kind of
idea.
like that, like NBA 2K mindset. Like,
Yeah.
oh, there's robots.
They don't
just
get
run 'em.
tired.
Just
Yeah.
run them.
yeah. I'll
Fatigue
just-
is turned off.
Who am I kidding? I'm going back to my hotel and eating pizza and hot dogs later. And
dog
smoking
pizza.
a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, so my voice can stay
He
like
probably eats the cigarettes.
But on
too, shit.
Tupat, do you guys, you think he should play more?
Oh yeah.
I think he's doing better. I really like Tupat with Adams, with a more traditional big on the floor with him. So he's
Definitely.
a little less involved in the screening and guarding the big guy on the other end, and can do more like slipping screens and spotting up.
I think I'm still down with a 10-man rotation though. I would play Patterson, Felton, Abrinas, Grant, and Hustis.
I like
No
that.
T-Ferg?
No T-Ferg. Not right now.
I like that 5 that you just
All
do
right.
out there. That bench 5.
I like that.
From OKC 70 and 12, which I'm assuming is now OKC 69 and 13. At James and OKC. Seems like Russ made every clutch 3 he took last year, and we praised him. Do the 3s just seem worse now that he's not making them?
So against that Memphis game, minute left, up 3. Carmelo Anthony gets a shot, misses a deep 3, terrible shot. They get the ball back. Russ runs the clock down, takes a terrible shot. Like I think it's more so probably the shots and what they mean at this point because of how good this team is supposed to be, rather than I think it's probably just pressure. Really is what I think. I think last season it was just a little bit more free, and this year it's not as much.
I think that's right.
All right.
I mean, it's always gonna look worse when you're missing, you know. And he's
I
doing
agree.
a lot of
He's
that.
very good at missing right now.
Making shots,
It is crazy though, like the change from last year, right?
Yeah.
Sad times.
From Takeoff Hoops at Takeoff Hoops, 3 changes that you believe would have an immediate positive impact on this team.
I
So I'll
think
throw.
if-
Oh, go ahead. No, no.
Mine was stupid. I was.
Well,
just
I
gonna
would
say-
throw out one that what we've seen, Steven
we should
Adams
not.
needs to continue to play with that second unit with one of the big 3.
Is that a change though?
Well, I mean, it's what we've seen recently. Although I'd have to go. I need
Getting
to,
Paul George back would help.
That would help.
Well,
That's a good change.
Okay.
Sorry, is that not valid?
That's
probably?
I was gonna say ice cream parties.
Making open jumpers
Yeah,
would help.
Russell Westbrook in particular.
Free throws.
Taking smart shots.
taking better shots.
Yeah, it's funny because he's
And buying into what the coach says.
Yeah.
And moving
Maybe.
the ball consistently into the second half.
This
and
has
going
turned
back
into
to
more
what,
than 3.
what we've talked about before,
You can pick the
setting
best
a
three.
rotation for 5 games.
Yeah, I like the rotation thing. Making free throws, and what was the other
You
thing?
forgot the
I forgot.
The
rest
ice
of
cream
them.
party.
Ice cream parties. Yes. Woo! I have to keep my ice
that
cream
it?
parties. That makes me excited. That's
That's it.
no one else.
Let's get on some notes.
Notes.
All right, this day in 2008, Carmelo Anthony tied an NBA record, 33 points in a single quarter.
It'd be nice if they could get 33 points over the span of 3 games.
Yeah, Klay Thompson has since broke that record. Man, Carmelo in his day though, he was a killer scorer.
Yep.
Disney is in talks to acquire 21st Century Fox, which would mean the local Fox Sports channels would then be owned by Disney and ESPN.
That'd be nice.
Would it be nice? So, like, have you
don't
guys
know
read
enough.
details? I don't really know the changes that would.
All I know is Disney owns everything now.
That is
Yeah.
true.
And Amazon, Disney and Amazon, it's just like a battle who will buy the
Own
earth.
your soul.
Who do you think? Which one of them owns the moon?
Probably Amazon. He's got rockets.
All right. Sam Presti was named an advisor for the Google Impact Challenge in Oklahoma City. Google Impact Challenge asked local nonprofit innovators how they would make their community and beyond an even better place. The public and a panel of local judges vote for the ideas with the most potential, and Google pairs each winner with a strategic package of support, including funding and Google volunteers. So Presti doing some other stuff besides just making trades that
Cool.
everyone thought was going to be really good. As of November 20th, Nazi Muhammad became a professional evaluation scout / identification and intelligence for the Oklahoma City Thunder. So Nazi's back in the organization, guys.
I like
I think
it.
that's
All
awesome
right.
too.
Did
I
you guys
love
read
Nazi.
his Players Tribune post?
Yep.
I read a bit of it.
Why didn't you
More
share it?
sort of skimmed it.
I didn't see
I
it at all.
skimmed in and was like, well,
He's gonna end up being assistant GM somewhere.
Yeah. He's
I
a
like
good
him.
guy. He's a good guy, that Nazi.
mm-hmm.
All right, up next, Thunder on Monday have the Hornets at home, Wednesday at Indiana, Friday at Philadelphia, and Saturday at New York. So 3 out of 4 on the road against teams that have kind of overachieved. 2 are very familiar teams that they've played from the East, and Indiana and New York. They beat both of those teams. Going to see our former players on the road. Paul George going to get some booze this week if he plays. What are we at here? Justin, you're still at 5. Jacob, you're down to 4. Rob, you're down to 4. Me and Jason are both at 5. What do you guys got this week? Let's start here, Justin.
2-2.
Oh my goodness,
Well, it's on the road. I mean, 3 of them are on the road.
that would be bad.
I'm going 2-2 as well.
3 of
So
them
am
are
I.
on the road.
2-2.
Yeah.
I'm going 3-1.
3-1.
There's no way.
Hopeful. I
They're
like
gonna
it.
lose in Indiana.
I really hope you're right.
If I didn't say 3-1, I was gonna go 4-0. I'll just say that.
You going
Wow.
4-0?
Yeah, they got to turn
You
it
think
around.
they're losing?
You
at
moving it?
Indiana?
I think they lose in Indiana.
You moving it up?
That
I
would
think
be
Victor Oladipo
if I
drops
picked
about
one,
35
it would
on
be
him.
that one.
I kind of think they might lose against the Hornets.
What?
At
I
home?
don't know. Yeah.
Eh.
I,
I
kinda
think
do.
Russ will probably get cooked by Kemba.
I think that's what scares
You're
me.
gonna lose to
Kimba.
Philly, and it's gonna be.
I think
Could
they're
be
I think they're
Philly,
gonna lose the Indiana game and the Philadelphia game.
Hopefully Philly has a back-to-back that day so that Joel Embiid can't
Well,
play.
shit, I didn't look at all that.
That'd be nice.
Should've.
Me and Jacob are both sitting at 1 loss on the season, so we just kind of restarted, I think, the week before last. Hey, thanks for watching and or listening. Follow us on Twitter at OKC Thunderheads. Jacob at ThunderMob405 and Justin over at ThunderTie. Subscribe on iTunes and YouTube. If you're watching right now, live on YouTube, we really appreciate it.
Or tomorrow.
Yeah, or tomorrow. We aren't live then, but
Nope.
we still
We
still,
were at one point though before.
Yes. So if you're watching now, we're live. But if you're, wait,
Nope.
I don't know. Subscribe on YouTube though.
I
We're
get
gonna
it.
keep doing this. We really appreciate it. We're gonna keep it going. Find us on Facebook, SoundCloud, Google Play, Stitcher, and our own OKCThunderheads.com. Pod days this week, Thursday and Sunday. So we will see you guys Thursday. We'll have 2 games to talk about then. So till then, and as always, Thunder up.